Ever been told your house is too American? I have, by a woman named Susan who thinks the 4th of July is too loud. No joke, she stood in my driveway, gripping a clipboard like it was her lifeline, yelling that my front porch was an eyesore because I'd hung an American flag the size of a tablecloth. And this wasn't even my big flag that one's reserved for Veterans Day. My name's Henry Lawson, 68, retired Navy mechanic and proud owner of a home that once took second place in a lawn gnome contest, mostly by fluke. I've watched regimes topple, engines blow up, and once had to land a Piper Cub after the pilot passed out from a coughing fit. But nothing prepared me for Susan Harper, HO president, joy killer and dictator of Oak Street. It started with a flag. Nothing flashy, just a sturdy American flag I'd grabbed from the base store decades ago. I hung it on a pole by my porch light, added a little wooden sign that said, "Home of the free thanks to the brave," and rolled out a concrete eagle I'd snagged at a garage sale. It looked regal. My granddaughter, Lily, came over with chalk and drew an eagle on my driveway, complete with stars on its wings and USA at its feet. It was perfect. Felt like home. Then the yelling started. Susan showed up at exactly 9:15 a.m., like she'd been summoned by the whiff of liberty. She stormed across the street in sneakers that clicked on the pavement, her face twisted like she'd just bitten into a sour apple. Clipboard pressed to her chest like a shield, she planted herself on my lawn and barked, "This is an HA-regulated neighborhood, Mr. Lawson. Your display violates Article 10, Section C." I blinked. "You've got the whole rulebook memorized?" "It's my responsibility as president," she shot back. I was hoping for a pie, but I guess we all serve in our own ways. She didn't crack a smile. Susan doesn't smile. Her lips just tightened, like she was choking down a grapefruit. She handed me a violation notice neatly printed, already signed, and jabbed a finger at my flag like it'd insulted her grandma. "You're breaching community aesthetic standards," she snapped. "This level of patriotic decor is unapproved and over the top." I tilted my head. "Over-the-top patriotism a crime now?" She glared. "It's visual hostility." "Against who?" "Mexico." Lily was still on the driveway, chalk in hand, staring at Susan like she'd stepped out of a cartoon. The poor kid didn't get it, just knew someone was mad at Grandpa again. Susan spotted the eagle sketch and gasped. "That's chalk. It's political. It's an eagle. It washes off." She whipped out her phone, snapping pictures of the chalk, the flag, me. "This'll be addressed at the next board meeting. Expect a citation and fine within 48 hours. I took the notice, grinned, and pinned it by my door right under a wind chime shaped like a fighter jet. That chime had never bothered anyone, but now Susan claimed its metallic clinks were auditory aggression, upsetting her cat. I didn't even know she had a cat. That night, I couldn't sleep. It wasn't the fine I've paid worse for parking in Seattle. It was the principle. I'd served my country, paid my dues, cleared snow from 4 neighbors' driveways last winter without a word, and now I was facing penalties for showing pride in the nation that gave us split-level homes and backyard grills. I sat on my porch, sipped iced tea, and pictured a mural of stars and stripes taking shape. The next day things heated up. Susan sent an HO-wide email blast with photos of my house labeled, "Examples of Non-Compliant Visual Disturbance." She included bullet points. Susan loved her bullet points, claiming my place was paving the way for ideological chaos that could unravel the neighborhood. Tom from 3 houses down replied with a meme of Abe Lincoln breakdancing. I printed it and taped it to my mailbox. Neighbors started whispering. Some approached me in the hardware store lot, murmuring, "We're with you, Henry. Just don't want her after us next." Others eyed my house with a mix of awe and dread, like it was a landmark and a felony rolled into one. Lily came by after school and asked, "Grandpa, why does she hate America?" I didn't know how to answer. How do you tell a 9-year-old that some adults forget what sacrifice means, that some wield power like a club instead of a tool, that maybe Susan doesn't hate the flag, she just hates what she can't rule? That night, I called Mike. Mike Callahan's an old Marine pal who runs an airbrush truck and paints choppers for a Levi. He's got a beard like a Viking and no filter. I told him I had a VY Siona mural, a statement. "Mike, I want folks to feel freedom when they see my garage." He laughed like he'd been born for this. The plan was simple. Over Veterans Day weekend, Mike would roll up with his gear, his compressors, and his crazy talented nephew. We'd paint a red, white, and blue masterpiece so bold, so majestic, so packed with stars, stripes, and soaring eagles that even the clouds would cheer. And if I timed it right, the mural might just accidentally, of course, spill onto the wall I share with Susan's half of the duplex. I wasn't just flying the flag. I was becoming the flag, with the kind of meticulous spite only a retired Navy mechanic with no curfew and a stash of patriotic yard art could pull off. I didn't want payback. I wanted justice, loud V.Y. Brandt freedom-flavored justice. Let the paint battle begin. Veterans Day weekend hit like a heat wave in August. Mike's truck rolled in black as night with the roaring eagle on the side, claws clutching thunderbolts, wings spread like it was about to rip the sky apart. He parked at 6:45 a.m., stepped out with a mug in hand and a flag bandana on his head. His nephew, Jake, a 20-something ink artist who looked like he could lift a tractor, trailed behind. I offered coffee. Mike waved it off. "This ain't a coffee job, Henry. This is a glory job." He cracked his knuckles and got to work. We had a schedule: Day 1, base coat and sky fade. Day 2, main figures and icons. Day 3, details and polish. Mike scaled the scaffolding like it was a jungle gym. Jake primed the spray guns and hooked up speakers blaring rock classics from sunrise to sunset. We didn't just paint, we turned the street into a freedom circus. By midday, neighbors were circling kids on scooters, adults with camp chairs, folks filming. It was a show. The first layer was a deep, star-flecked sky stretching across the house. Then came Lady Liberty's torch, rising through a haze of silver and blue. A bald eagle soared over the garage door, talons spelling out, "Freedom Forever" in sharp chrome. The flag flowed around the windows like a breeze you couldn't feel, and between the porch posts stood painted sailors saluting, from the Revolution to today. It was stunning, so patriotic it made a Gulf War vet tear up and a teen stop texting for a full minute. Then, like a storm cloud with a grudge, Susan arrived. She charged over in a VY sore and yoga pants, heels clacking like she was late for a trial. "This is vandalism," she shrieked, pointing at the mural like it'd keyed her car. "It's a VY Soul attack." Mike peeked down from the ladder. "Want a peace sign on the eagle, ma'am?" Susan's jaw dropped. Her eyes darted from the mural to the crowd to the flag snapping in the wind, then locked on the tiny strip where it all unraveled, the garage wall that just barely crossed onto her side of the duplex. A sliver of stars, maybe 8 inches, touched her beige siding. It was enough to make her howl like she'd been drenched in ice water. "You painted my house," she screamed, pointing at the overlap like it was a felony. "It's freedom spilling over," Mike shouted. "Can't stop it." I stepped in. "I tried to play nice, Susan. It's less than a foot. We can fade it out or paint an eagle with a rose. Make it sweet." She turned a shade of violet I'd never seen, not red, not blue, pure violet. "I'm calling the cops," she hissed and marched off. I thought she was bluffing. She wasn't. Half an hour later, 2 patrol cars rolled up. I've seen police handle DUIs, burglaries, even the time Ed down the street set his shed on fire trying to grill indoors. But a paint job? They stepped out, glanced at Susan, then at the mural and froze. The younger cop, Officer Diaz, walked up slow, hand on his chest. "Is that a sailor wrestling a bear?" "Yep," I said. "Jake's touch." Susan stormed over, wavy-wying her phone, ranting about property lines, HOA rules, and emotional distress. The older cop, built like a retired fullback, turned to her. "Ma'am, you saying this mural's offensive?" "It's aggressive," she snapped. "And it's on my house." I cut in. "Technically, it's the garage wall shared since '85. Checked the records last night." Susan's mouth flapped like a fish. The cops swapped looks. Diaz shrugged. "Look, civil, not criminal. But it's against HOA policy." "Then take it to the HOA." "I am the HO," Mike muttered. "And we're the rebellion." The crowd chuckled. The cops grinned. Susan screeched. Then her cat, a scruffy tabby, darted out, stopped at the mural, and peed on a painted boot of a Minuteman. The street erupted. Susan grabbed the cat and fled, yelling about lawsuits and cease and desist orders for the whole block. By dusk, the mural was done. We added fireworks over the porch, shimmer in the flags, and a tribute to my wifey, a sailor's widow, holding a folded flag in the corner. I hadn't planned that, but when Mike pitched it, I nearly broke down. Lily saw it, hugged me, and said, "Grandma would have loved it." She was right. That night, we lit sparklers on the lawn. Neighbors brought chairs, lemonade, brownies. The cop swung back off duty for pics. For a moment it was flawless except for Susan's house, blinds shut tight, TV flickering behind curtains. Next morning an email hit everyone's inbox. Subject: urgent. HOA violations va emergency meeting. Attached were pics of my house, legal threats, and a PDF called Risks of Patriotic Excess. I printed it, stuck it by the jet chime. Bring it on, Susan. I was just warming up.